Zombie shooter lovers, welcome to my sequel list. I am Couch Coop, I am YouTube's best kept secret.
Find somewhere safe. We survive.
So let's get started with State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition, a game that I got hold of on Game Pass, and incidentally this list is actually cross-platform. The predecessor list was only PlayStation 4, which kind of cancelled out a load of amazing zombie games, especially this one. Didn't play the prequel, but I got heavily into this, and it is a little older, hence the reason it's at the start of the list, but it's got some classic zombie gameplay in it, one of which is a really tight melee combat system and vehicles. The selling point for State of Decay has always been this like community thing where you have a bunch of characters that you roleplay as and you all sort of set up a camp in the middle of the apocalypse and try and fix machinery, mend each other's diseases, work together as a team. It's a very cool aspect, and it's an aspect that carries over to its three game modes. So the main campaign is what I've just explained. Second mode is a slightly more watered down version of that, but slightly more linear, and you're set in a different map. I much prefer it. You can just experience the game's coolness quicker, but the horde mode is kind of where I was going most frequently. I think it's got the best fat belly mechanics I've ever seen in a zombie game, and it's got a very satisfying dissipation mechanic, and the zombies don't cut out when they're on the floor. They will be injured, they'll be crawling towards you, headshots have got to be delivered, there's amazing stuff with helmets bouncing off, and of course this great open world survival angle where the vehicles will run out of petrol, you do need to gather medicine to heal your teammate. There's an awful lot of very good stuff going on in State of Decay 2. It's just a shame it's got a sort of double A shine to it, and it's so old now, and I imagine the third one is going to be epic. One of the things I did want to touch on with all of these games on this list is, are they approachable as a solo package, or where are their strengths in multiplayer, that sort of thing. This one, strengths do lie in a co-op multiplayer online experience. I do go through it solo, I am quite into it on solo. The horde mode is quite rewarding and it is doable on your own. The AI is not terrible, but it belongs firmly in the online co-op category, and what a great performer in that category it is. State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition.
Get off your ass and fight!
Now, staying on the subject of great performers, World War Z is a juggernaut. The segue, a backward segue? Okay, that's me looking at the textures on the cars. I know I'm a very lonely man. I think this is the greatest unsung licensed zombie game on earth. The team that made this have nothing to do with the team that made the film. Why would they? The filmmakers are the director. But do you know what I mean? They haven't stuck their dirty corporate fingers into ruining what essentially is a Left 4 Dead 2 third-person clone. Now, I did a video, I'll put the link in the description of putting this game directly up against the newest Left 4 Dead 2, you know, with the high-definition patches and the cool one that's on Steam at the moment, and it kind of thrashes it in certain areas. Left 4 Dead 2 is the holy grail of all zombie games. I understand that, team, but this one comes damn close to its glory. What's it doing so near the start of your list then, Coop, if you're praising this game so much? Well, the truth is, I haven't played this game enough. and it's going up against some of the biggest hitters in the industry. The games that are coming up next are the best in their genre, so it's amazing to have a film licensed property be this epic.
Time to move.
Its epicness trickles down into so many areas. The loot system in this game, the layered loot system against all the guns, and if you choose a gun and like to develop it, you increase its cosmetic value, and of course you can start whacking on scopes and stocks, and you start to fall in love with this piece of equipment. That's definitely the way forward in every zombie shooter. All the characters are amazingly well fleshed out. They're also extremely well drawn. I'm running this game on the PC. I do own it on the PlayStation 4, but there's no massive enhancements on it. I've got it on Ultra here. You can increase the animation on the zombie deaths. It is just a stunner.
Kill it! Fucking kill it!
Its zombie on-screen body count is unrivaled on this list. This game is a complete mammoth online multiplayer as well. I do recommend it solo, but again, its strengths are with 4 other people. Okay, next up we got Zombie Army 4. This one is a very special choice. It's been on the channel a lot, and the footage I'm using is from a Let's Play I did. I've got an hour Let's Play over on Coop Uncut, and it's probably worth a look because I go into all of the horde modes. It's got a very healthy campaign. Zombie to pound ratio, this is one of the best deals on the list. It was 24 quid for me. I bought it about a year ago. Rebellion are legends when it comes to their horde modes. They did it with Strange Brigade, epic weapons, epic rewards, an amazing online 4-player co-op system, but more importantly, that campaign and this horde mode has so much to offer on a single player level. Is unashamedly a Nazi-based zombie army shooter, and if you're into the darkness, the occult, some of the amazing backstory that goes with that lore, this game delivers so much on the campaign. Also with the enemy types, different ranks of Nazi officer, you've got a zombified tank, for God's sakes, and it does kind of look pretty good. We've just had a patch go for the PlayStation 5, which gives it 4K and 60 frames per second. That is a real bonus. Every single weapon has an alt fire mode. It might result in a huge bullet coming out sniper style that can penetrate loads of zombies. It might be a cool slowdown mechanic like you're seeing here, or it might be like a headshot right across the top of everybody and slaughter a bunch of zombies in one trigger squeeze. There's so much to love with this game. I think the characters are awesome. Their one-liners are amazing. The writing's really good. The locations are unbelievable, sending you to Venice on a gondola, and the sharks, there's a zombie shark confirmed.
Hold on.
It does sport a fair amount of microtransactions, and there's a few other games that are a bit guilty of that are coming up on the list. I'm not going to mark this game down because of it, because it's a very cheap game for what you're getting. So I think they need to make some dollar off the back of having some cool cosmetics, but more importantly, it's got some amazing DLC, both horde levels and campaign missions. There's tons of it, and it's really well reasonably priced. I think that's why they put a lot of games on the PlayStation Network free. If they've got add-ons and sort of buy-in levels, etc., the guys make some of their money back, and this is certainly where Zombie Army 4 will perform well.
Peace, hellos. Say up.
Few games on this list can compete with how slick its co-op online 4-player multiplayer mode is. It's head and shoulders above loads on the market, and I think that Zombie Army 4 will have a legacy of being one of the console's strongest zombie games, full stop.
Oh, it just blew his trousers off and nothing else.
Available on PC, on Game Pass, on Xbox, and we had it free for a month on the PlayStation Network. No zombie excuses.
Oh, we've got some God rays coming on there. On his blessed, balding zombie head, rings some bells. That's close to home, that's okay.
Bloody hell, yeah, I know. Last of Us Part 2 is coming out in the last quarter of this list, so it's not one, of course it hasn't. The Last of Us original did extremely well in my original list. You guys need to visit that if you're about to get in the comments. There's a link in the description. Please look at it because it's got all of the greats that haven't appeared in this list. But this one split everybody, didn't it? And why have I not put it at number 1? Well, there's a lot going on here.
You okay?
Yeah.
Now, The Last of Us Remastered was a very special thing because The Last of Us 1 was such a cracking game on the PlayStation 3. When we all got it onto the PlayStation 4 and after it had that sort of current gen lick of paint, it really had no major flaws at all. And to fall in love with the team and the writers and those two characters was one thing, but for me it was more impressive on a gameplay level with regards to the human AI with the people you'd be fighting on the other gangs, and of course the zombie intelligence, the way that they would flank you and come forward, and the different ranks with the clickers and all the stuff you could throw and distract. That stuff is still there in The Last of Us Part 2, but Jesus Christ have they buried it. So I think that's kind of part of my issue. A good example of this is I needed to show you guys some actual zombie killing and zombie gameplay, and I had to sit down with The Last of Us Part 2 for about an hour and a half to actually get to some. I was up to maybe a quite story-driven section in the game, but man, you can't take zombie killing out of your zombie game, and that is one thing that annoyed a bunch of people. The other is, of course, the character Abby that rubbed a whole bunch of the gaming community up the wrong way, no pun intended, but I just was so annoyed that that overshadowed why they had diluted what really is some of the best zombie gameplay mechanics on earth. Such a damn shame that they took huge chunks of that away, replace it with massive long cutscenes, dialogue, and QTE. I hate quick time events, and there's no need for them in a game like this, but they're bloody everywhere. Actually going to say anything nice about it, Coop? Well, it cuts me deep because the prequel was such an incredible game, and Naughty Dog really cornered the market on graphics, gameplay and AI with that, and I do see some of those strengths here. I'm just so annoyed that they are having to be looked for. This is one of the best looking PlayStation 4 Pro games on the system, and of course we had a next gen update which smartened things up considerably. It is one of the best looking games available anywhere. That heavy story and dialogue material may be your thing, that's why it hasn't gone much further back, but if I had the choice between 1 and 2, you know which way I'd go.
Just ain't making it all that
My
way.
friends are at a mansion just north of here. It's fenced in, we have the whole perimeter secure.
It's a Baldwin place. I can work. All right. I'll get the door. All right. You ride with me. Come on.
When it does get going and you actually do start fighting zombies, it's got one of the best melee/range combat systems available. It's probably the 4th best zombie game on the market at the moment. That brings us up to number 3. Okay, these next 3 games took a major amount of deliberation of what order to put them in. By the way, Doom Eternal is not on this list. That's always on Gameranx's list. The Demons from Mars, your tits. We are looking at Resident Evil 8 Village, and I do want you guys to soak up some of this ray tracing on my PlayStation 5. I am slapped around the face with how unbelievably pretty this game is. It is photo perfect in some areas, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of or not, but there's a bit of a caveat here. So no spoilers, this is the opening 10 hours of the game. That brings me on to the caveat now. Resident Evil 5, don't hang up on me, was for me a very good online multiplayer zombie game. Okay, its strengths were in its mercenaries mode. Everybody knows this. It was incredible. When I bought Resident Evil 5 on the PlayStation 4, it came with Mercenaries mode unlocked, okay? Now this obviously doesn't have that. The Mercenaries mode is at the completion of the game, which is a massive headache for me because I can't get to it until I've dragged myself through that Gameranx castle. Resident Evil Village will have an amazing mercenary mercenary mode, but I can't show it to any of you because all of the levels are spoilers, and of course it loses points for making you complete the game to unlock it. Maybe that's a good incentive, I'm not sure. But we need to cover one thing. You cannot have a good zombie shooter or zombie game without good lighting. We have the best lighting in the industry in this game. Getting back to where I put Resident Evil 8 Village in the whole series with regards to its strengths, I feel that Resident Evil 4 was commercially one of the more successful and probably the most accessible for the larger Western audience. The prequels to that were a little bit nuanced and you didn't see its success enough, I don't feel. You did in Japan, but not over here. But then we get over to 5, which personally for me is kind of the best of both worlds. What I'm talking about is that crazy Hollywood, always pulling the trigger, explosions going off everywhere aspect versus a lot of that tension, cool dark corridor creepiness that we saw in the previous games. 7 really lacked that Hollywood bombastic shotgun in the face aspect. It was really convoluted with its story and navigating that house. 8 has it all for me. It has it all. It's got that great first person look and it's still coupled with that frequent enough gunplay to make it seem like an actual zombie game. The campaign actually isn't that bad at all, and I've always feel guilty about getting Resident Evil games just for their mercenaries mode. You can imagine how pissed off I was about 7 not even having one. The saving grace for that game was that it was VR compatible, and I'll stand by it. That's the strongest horror experience available on the VR headset on the PlayStation 4. Out and out. It's up there with Rush of Blood, pips it in certain areas. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is a funny bit of footage. I remember Worth the Buy reviewing this, and it's like, the puzzles, man, they're too easy, man. Look how well I handled this zombie. Look at that. You're all really up for having me next to you in the apocalypse, right? But the puzzles in the campaign, they are a little bit easy, and yeah, the game doesn't throw up too much hassle at you, and I think being able to actually complete the campaign pretty easily is a plus for this game because of all that content that lies behind it. I don't want to keep going on about it, but I am so gutted I can't go straight to mercenaries. Look at the animations on these zombies, the way they shift, the heads go flying back, they also clutch their limbs when you shoot them. That sort of stuff goes a long way. Also got a nice healthy focus on really cool weapons and upgrading them, doesn't shy away from military hardware. So Resident Evil Village 8 is at number 3. So this came very close to me not actually even having it on the list. I don't know if you remember the split screen review I did of this game. Before it came out, I was Googling Twitch players or people on YouTube doing live streams of it. These guys are still doing that tiny map, run around in a circle train thing. They're still doing it. The streamers 7-8 years running in a circle with a train of zombies is not that interesting. Anyway, Outbreak mode is interesting.
Enemy destroyed.
What's Outbreak mode cool? Because it just looks like the same shit as you're talking about. Outbreak mode sort of borrows loads from Battle Royale games, right? There's no like timer or the map doesn't get smaller, but the placements of the loot and how it's your duty to explore, sort all your crap out before going for the boss is a really great idea. And having that on the fly gathering of loot and dealing with quite a lot of ad hoc situations, there'll be cool stuff that it will drop into the maps on reroll. That's another thing I need to explain. Outbreak has a choice of 4 maps. Just dropped a new one in pretty recently, which is epic, but basically you never know which map you're going to get at the start of your game, and your job is to complete said map and warp to the next one, which could be any number of the 4, so you're never quite sure what's going on, and you're never quite sure what's going to spawn into that map, with loads of aspects, be it the magic chest, or some vehicles, or even, more interestingly, what objective you have to do to complete that map. It could be a escort mission, you could get warped into a tiny little room when they stuff zombies through the windows, but more importantly, rotates everything on every playthrough, giving you a brand new combination of maps and perks every single time. That's brilliant. And also vehicles. By the way, no one would have a two-stroke in a zombie apocalypse. It's borrowing a lot of that system we see in roguelike and lights, which I'm a huge fan of, and it gives the game a lot more longevity because you're not going round in a circle around the same table you have been doing for the last 7 years, getting your super light chats. Oh my god, this is a new vehicle, yeah, and that gun is fully mountable, sir. Is it playable on a single player level? Only just. It's a bit crazy. I do actually enjoy soloing this game mode because you've got so much going against you, and sometimes the objectives will just be ridiculous. You think, I'll never do this on my own. You end up doing it. You have specials on the shoulder buttons. They can be switched out, and you also have an incredible amount of weapons to delve into. And a little bit like World War Z, we get to upgrade everything that we're into. You can create a shotgun build and have amazing stickers and scopes on it. You can support each other by someone being a long-range sniper, and of course the traversal. I nearly forgot to talk about how cool the parachute hold on. This I don't muck about here.
Picked off a few.
And you got to be somewhere. You got to be somewhere. So I wanted to talk about the autonomy of the 4-player co-op modes, and of course how that works well on the split screen level. You can get on with your own job, you can meet up in an area of the map. There's amazing trampolines that take you into the air and allow you to parachute out of trouble. This game mode is a groundbreaker. Outbreak is a groundbreaker. There you go, Division, that one's for free. But what does piss me off, and you probably saw it at the start, is every 2 seconds on that damn lobby menu it's got to push its microtransactions to you. It's got to tell you about the new John McClane skin that Dr. Disrespect is currently donning in Nakasami Tower. What the fuck? It also had some issues on launch with being a bit janky on the old frame rates when you were playing online, and of course offline even. This whole system had some flaws to it. It's been patched at least twice. We've had new vehicles added and new vehicle skins added to them as well, and that's another surprising thing. Is just about the only incentive to get through this Outbreak mode, not only to get the accolade with all your mates, but also some of the coolest cosmetic skins on your guns and little dangly stuff. I know it's juvenile, but that does kind of motivate me. What else is there to motivate you other than finishing all 4 maps in a row, which I advise you not to do without at least a pint of caffeine next to you. Why can't they do a standalone version of this game, digital only? Do you know what I mean? You don't have that main game campaign, and you don't have Ground War, whatever the fuck it's called. You just have this for like 20 quid. That would be a really good idea. You look into that, please, Activision. You'll get some patronage from my side, certainly.
So when they're in the circle, we've got to try and kill them. Yeah, it's that bullshit.
So Call of Duty 5 Cold War Zombie Mode is number 2 on my list. We've got one more game coming. It's going to piss a lot of you off. It's a little bit embarrassing for me as well, because quite frankly it should have been on the previous list. Previous list is in the link in the description. Keep up, people.
It's ready, it's done, it's done it. It's done it, it's done it. We're good, we're good, we're good.
Sounds like you got your wish.
So what story with me and Days Gone? I kind of have gone right round the block and arrived back at the start again. On launch, I purposely avoided it. Can't actually remember the reasons why. It could have been because of Zombie Army 4 coming out, and of course World War Z just being so strong and the market being so saturated. I was like, what on earth can this game offer me that these others don't? Because a lot of the marketing was around that horde, loads and loads of zombies coming at you all the time. There isn't actually that much of it in the game, but what there is incredible character development, Hollywood level of story writing, well, Hollywood 10-15 years ago. Some of the best looking graphics on the PlayStation 4 and 4 Pro and on the 5. That boost has carried over fantastically. And easily the most lovable character of this whole list. That guy is such a badass. All of his lines are brilliant. Even when you unlock stuff, he just doesn't give a shit. I love his sort of laid back attitude coupled with some serious badassery.
Here, cut!
It's also completely single player, and of course the only reason my attention was focused on it in the last 2 or 3 months, A, because we had it free on the PlayStation 5 network, I know how the elite live, but B, the uproar when the sequel was cancelled. That's how you can tell you've got a good game on your hands, is the community went spaz. So I was like, hold on, there's something good going on here. Can I just say, feral zombie children, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm being serious, it's a bit weird. It's a bit too close to heart. I've got friends who've got kids that genuinely look like that. Not funny, but it is a bit of a weird subject, and it's the first game I've played in a long time that is unashamedly... They might just be smaller people, or really thin, tiny adults, I don't know, but that's a real freaky one for me, and I thought... Power to the developers for having the balls to put that in. You don't see a lot of zombie games actually do that. But let's talk about its combat. And we're going to pull pieces from all of the games that we've been talking about on this list. First of all, State of Decay 2's combat system. This has got a brilliant melee attack, the thing that's in front of you set up. You don't have to lock on or anything. And it also chains and combines your hits. And you have depletable damage on your melee weapon, which I'm a big fan of. Just sucking up the rays here. It is stunning, and the photo mode is so workable. I am going to lose myself in it as per. The things it plucks out is a really rich story, like the type we saw in The Last of Us 1. And another thing is the crafting on the fly and the survival in a semi-open world that we also saw in State of Decay 2, and that sort of collecting and managing that we see in the new COD. All of that is married up flawlessly with this bike mechanic, and it's crazy with the fuel management, getting marooned, the bike running out, and you feel frightened, you fear for your life because the zombies could come out of the woods if you start making noise. Yes, it does have really sensitive noise meter. If you are running or full throttling around through the forest, you will get chased, and Christ does it shit you up. It feels like a Naughty Dog game. It's that higher quality. It's like an open world Naughty Dog zombie apocalypse game. And the writing is up there with The Last of Us Part 1. Now, massive accolades there. And that's why it sits proudly at the top, because there was a lot of love put into this. Those characters are awesome. And the facial animations on them and the way they react to situations is so real. Also bringing the zombies into enemy camps. The chaos that ensues. Epic stuff. I feel I owe my subscribers and the whole zombie shooting loving community an apology for not getting to this game sooner. I should have brought this on launch. I shouldn't have turned my nose up at it, and I felt that the market was saturated, but I didn't realise this game was going to be that strong. Days Gone better get sequeled. I'm going to platinum this game, and there's a new game plus on it as well, which I cannot wait for. The story has got me hooked. I love the idea of the guys in the hazmat suits walking around the forest. The story is revealed in such a brilliant drip feed that you are chomping at the bit to get this game played. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Couch Coop. I will see you down there.